All right, welcome to this weekend Sidereal Astrology forecast and solar eclipse report for September 11th through the 13th. My name is Athen. So, solar eclipse in Leo in the constellation Leo. This is, of course, for Sidereal Astrology, which uses the actual stars in the sky. As you can see here, this is the eclipse energy. It's going to be happening at the tail end of Leo, literally, which is this constellation, or excuse me, this star here, Denebula. Denebula is about being out of step, doing things that are outside of the normal way of doing things. And that's a big part of Leo. You know, this is the tail of Leo, what keeps it in balance. And it holds the frequency of Aquarius, which is really giving and contributing. And these are all sorts of these shifts that are going to be happening now over the next coming weeks as we start to unfold the solar eclipse energy, which is unfolding this weekend. So let's go and look at the transit graph. As you can see here, we've got the solar eclipse happening at 02:54 a.m. in the Eastern time of Sunday. And so that energy will be the highest point at that time. That will be the eclipsing point. And this is, again, unfolding the beginnings for the next 6 months. So Leo is about that passion. It is about excitement. So the kinds of questions and the types of things to consider during the solar eclipse is, where can we have more excitement? Where can we have more passion? Where can we listen to that excitement in our life and act on it? Where can we express ourselves more? And this is the kind of energy that will be unfolding, and it's slow and it's subtle. But during the solar eclipse, it's a good time to reflect on that, to go within and think about it. And maybe there is something shifting in our external environment this weekend and maybe next week, facilitating the next steps that we'll take in order to cultivate these Leo energies in our life. So that's what the energy symbolizes. It's very transformational, and the culmination of it will be in about 6 months during the springtime of next year, when we have the next set of eclipses. Now, what's interesting about this solar eclipse is that, of course, this one is associated with the North Node, which is about life path and destiny and our future growth. So it is about facing fears. It is about growth. It's about taking actions and setting intentions with this kind of energy. But this is the first time we've had the solar eclipse in Leo in this solar cycle. So what's going to happen now as the North Node starts to transit into Leo, because the North Node moves backwards in the sky, the next set of eclipses over the next coming years will all be taking place in this Leo energy. So it's the first of the Leo energies now unfolding for the next coming years involving this type of energy. So it's new. It's different, it's taking it slow, but at the same time setting intentions and moving forward with where we can have more personal passion and creative spirit in our lives. So that's going to be the highest. Like I said, it's going to be on Sunday, which will be the highest point of that. And as we approach that, we'll feel it more and more. Now let's go and look at the aspects that are going to be taking place with this particular solar eclipse. Now there's two things that are very important with this. One is that the solar eclipse is going to be opposing up to Chiron. Now, Chiron, it's a very close opposition too. Chiron is an asteroid, and it is about transformation. And the transformative elements of Chiron is about facing our wounds, facing our insecurities. Where do we feel wounded? Where do we feel a little bit inhibited, that we perhaps aren't able to express ourselves very clearly? Where do we feel like maybe we aren't good enough in expressing ourselves? And this can be creative. It could be internalized. It's that kind of energy. So I think we'll be naturally facing those kinds of feelings, and it's a good time to heal those wounds in the sense of accepting them, of embracing them, and being open to seeing what those insecurities are, what those flaws are. And here's the interesting thing about Chiron is that it doesn't actually exist other than we feel wounded in that particular area. In other words, we may or may not be good in that area. And usually most of the time, whenever there's an aspect with Chiron, we are good in that area at that time. We've developed, in this sense, this self-expression. And so now we're coming to a point where it's important for us to internalize that, to face those fears and heal those old wounds relating to this, and maybe even relating to sharing it with the world, which is Aquarius. And this is, again, not necessarily in a public way, but maybe with our relationships, with our one-on-one connections, things like that. And it'll be through that energy that we can feel rejuvenated, we can feel healed through this solar eclipse. Now, the other energy that's very important and very powerful is that it will be trining up to Pluto. So Pluto has been transiting Sagittarius for many years, and this is all about changes to our life path. It's also about changes to our philosophy. So I think there is a strong support. I think there has been a lot of change to our outlook on life over the past years, and there is this intensity about this solar eclipse. And, the big thing, too, about Pluto trining up to a Uranus energy is about non-superficiality. Saying things as they are, expressing things as they are, and seeing the truth of the matter. That's always what Pluto does, is it strips away those layers in order for us to really communicate, see, and express the truth. So very powerful solar eclipse. It's not an exact solar eclipse, but the fact that it's trining up to Pluto astrologically can be very powerful in our lives. And of course, the solar eclipse energy is very powerful in and of itself. So that's going to be the reading of that. Again, De Nebula, I think, will be a high point, and this is all about asking ourselves, where have we been doing things in the same old all the time in terms of this passion and self-expression? Where can we implement this new energy of change, of something new, of something different, even if it is out of step with the normal energies of the collective? So let's go and look at the weekend. We've got a couple aspects that are important leading up to the solar eclipse. Here on Friday, we've got Mercury sextiling up to Venus now going into next week. And what's interesting is that a lot of this energy is going to be culminating around Thursday of next week. That's when this other aspect I'll talk about goes exact as well. But here with Mercury, it's a light energy. The sextiles are a minor kind of an aspect, so it is a light social kind of energy in the air. I think it is good for enjoying social relationships and perhaps doing some reading, some writing, things like that. I think can be quite enjoyable. So that's going to be a subtle energy, and that's going to be going into next week. A higher energy will be the fact that the sun will be opposing up to that Chiron, preluding that solar eclipse here Friday and Saturday. So if you do come across some of those wounds or insecurities, it's about embracing them, accepting them, and that's a good way to set the foundation for the solar eclipse. It's just that all unconditional acceptance of how we feel about it or what's coming up, and then through that, it can be very, very powerful. So I think we'll be feeling those inhibitions perhaps Friday and Saturday, maybe something in particular, depends on a personal chart, but I think being open to that is a great way of working with this. The moon does conjoin up to Jupiter, so there is this optimism of the air. Actually Friday, the moon does square up to Saturn, so maybe there are some things to take care of, some things to be patient with on that regards, and the moon will be opposing up to Neptune. Now, speaking of Neptune, there is this very important energy that will be unfolding from the eclipse point onward, and this will be going exact on Thursday of next week, which is that culmination point that I was talking about. So with this, Jupiter is our philosophy, it's our outlook, it's our spiritual life path. Opposing up to Neptune can sometimes create uncertainty, sometimes a little bit of a fantasy or over-ideal about our outlook on life, about our future. So this can oftentimes be that dreamy fantasy energy, and it's very important to stay grounded with our philosophy, to stay grounded with our future and what is unfolding for us, because things are unfolding. But it's with this, it's important to have that faith, to relax into the trust that everything is unfolding, but maybe not exactly how we envision it, and to be open to the ebb and flows of life. And through that, this can be a very spiritually enlightening sort of transit. And I feel like after this solar eclipse, whatever this sort of energy is, it is creating a new understanding about spirituality, a new understanding about our philosophy that is maybe more Christ-centered or Buddhic-centered, which is about compassion, peace, presence, all of that Neptunian energy. And that can certainly be implemented now going into next week. So there's a lot going on, and how I would read this very generally is that we have new beginnings with our passions. We've got new beginnings with our self-expression, and I feel like it can be quite spiritual, and I feel like it's going to be involved by healing some old wounds, maybe relating to that, and how we can give more, contribute more, and that can be very powerful. But it's about seeing the truth, it's about piercing the veil, which is that trine up to Pluto, and expressing the truth with others. That will be the strong support of the solar eclipse energy. So have a good one, everyone. Thanks again for all of your support. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you all on Monday. Take care.